It was like the casinos back in the day when the coins would fall.
It's
like, is it really bad if I just shell jackpot in the middle of the library?
Hello, 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 and welcome to Well Shit. It really is that simple. I'm Claire.
And I'm Serena. On this podcast, we help you to understand about your 12 universal needs, why they are currently not being well met,
how to meet them in ways that work for you, and how to consistently do so in quick, easy, and simple ways that fit seamlessly into your life.
We'll also help you to understand how doing so will have a positive ripple effect in literally every area of your life.
If you like what you hear, please support us on Patreon.
And enjoy the show.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, everyone.
So I'm just going to warn you that we may be in for an interesting ride on this podcast. Not that we're ever not. I made the mistake a few minutes ago of saying, isn't this feeling easy today?
Mm-hmm.
And historically, when we have acknowledged such things, that's not how it's ended up. So I'm really curious to see how today's going to go.
The universe
now.
is like, easy. I'll take care of that. Yeah. Don't you worry.
Watch this.
Don't believe me. Just watch.
Yes. Hold my seltzer.
Yeah. So we are, and now I'm checking for like the fourth time.
Yes.
Record
We're
is
recording.
on,
We're
all
recording.
The things.
All the things. Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is we've just we actually have just bought a subscription to a new piece of software that we'll be able to do our podcasts in. And I'm like, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. It took us a while to really find our groove with the setup that we have.
You don't say.
Just a little bit. And so now we've got to learn it all over again. I'm like, ah.
So we like to do add more things to the plate, right?
Well, it looks like something that's going to make it a lot better. It should make the video quality better. It should hopefully provide transcriptions. So we'll be able to provide those potentially in the show notes or add subtitles and all that kind of stuff that we really want to do. We just haven't had the capacity with just two little old people like us doing it. And actually, really excitingly, we have just found out we've got somebody new joining the team who's going to help us out with this. By the time this goes live, she'll have been with us for some time. Right. I hope she's still with us. But we're really excited to have somebody supporting us with, because most people don't realize, I don't think, that we do all of this ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every aspect of everything you see to do with the podcast is us,
or anything you see with the universal needs. There's you're looking at
except for the logo. We have a very amazing designer, Kathy Hart. If you haven't checked out her work, please do, because she's incredible, and she what she created for us. We couldn't have been more happy with it. But I think that's really the only thing, that and our accountant. Aside from that, and I still have to do a shit ton of the whole.
I was going to say, I forget that there is one, because the lead up to it is always. I
just realised I got something running on here that I'm just going to shut down. Like, it's not going to. We're going to carry on going. I'm just. If you're watching on the video going, oh God, Claire's reaching out to me, she's about to come through the screen. No, I was just checking something, just changing something on my laptop.
And so we digress.
And this is how we start today. So today we are doing episode 2 in our Burning the Candle at Both Ends series. We weren't sure if we mentioned it last time. We've definitely mentioned it at the beginning this time. And this is something that we've had a lot of experience with this kind of through our lives. And recently we had a very, very acute experience of it. It wasn't cute at all, but it was acute.
Yeah.
It was...
Cute is not the word I'd use to describe that experience.
It was a little intense, shall we say. This is about when it feels like we are too busy to meet our needs. So what do we do? Like, when you feel like and this is why it's part of the Burning the Candle at Both Ends series, is like, okay, I'm burning a candle at both ends and in the middle too. I am too busy. I'm going to get up at the crack of dawn. I'm not going to get to bed until X, Y, Z. and I've got so much to do in between, like I don't have time to meet my needs.
I've already got 36 wicks lit. Like how many more wicks can one person have? Oh, just one more. All right, one more there. Just wedge it.
Okay,
like.
yeah, right, fine. So yeah, and in this situation, I mean, I know that we've said this before. It's in those situations that it is even more important for you to be prioritizing your needs. Now, what this means, it doesn't mean to say, okay, you sit back at the beginning of the day and go, right, I'm going to take 3 hours this morning. I'm going to do a nice lengthy yoga practice. I'm going to meditate. I might take a little nap. Like, that's not what we're talking about. Because in those moments, as much as that would be good for us in those moments, I mean, hell, that would have been really good for us in the last few months.
We had to be realistic.
Yeah, and it's not feasible. It's not practical in those situations. So we do want to meet our needs, but we want to do it in a way that is in alignment with our capacity at that moment, and it's alignment with all of the other things that we have going on at that particular time. There's a quote by Abraham Lincoln which always kind of comes to mind when we start talking about this, which is, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, so I think I'm getting this right. I will put the quote underneath in the show notes, so that if I've screwed it up, my apologies. You'll get the accurate version.
Mr. Lincoln, you will be correctly quoted.
Yes, exactly. we will rectify any mistakes I make. But I believe that the quote is, if someone gave me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. And I think that's a really great metaphor for what we're talking about here, is that if you don't take a moment to sharpen the axe, and I'm not suggesting you take 4 hours to sharpen the axe, because again, capacity, time, and all those sorts of things. But if you don't take time to sharpen the axe, you end up whacking it against a tree and it making virtually no difference. So you're trying to make progress, but you don't have your tool ready, your tool being you in this situation, to actually make the progress that you want to make within the time to hit your deadline. So we have fairly recently had a very acute example of this.
Not a cute example, an intense example.
Yes,
and
not cute, acute.
Acute.
It was, to say it was intense is such an understatement.
It was so many. And the thing is, it was intense, and it was so many other things. It was emotional. It was draining. It was frustrating. It was educational.
Yeah.
There was some actual, like, there were breakthroughs and there were positive things mixed in with it, but it was a fucking lot.
It was a hell of a lot. And I think we shared about one of the previous episodes. It wasn't just the quantity, and the quantity was immense. Mm-hmm. I mean, over 5,000 pages, nearly 54 pounds of paperwork went off as part of this visa submission. And that wasn't us trying to pad. It wasn't us trying to go, oh, let's put so much shit in it just to see what happens. This was all based on advice we'd had from legal
counsel.
Legal counsel. Ooh, good use of the word counsel.
It's all those SVU episodes.
They're coming into play. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't like we were throwing stuff in to go, well, this makes it look bigger. Like, if anything, we wanted to take stuff out.
They asked for a letter. We're like, how about a thesis?
And there was a reason that we didn't give a letter in that situation. There's a whole bunch of backstory that is not really necessary for this. But the quantity was huge. The process was obscene. It was like nothing I've ever been through before, because everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Let me give you just one example in this entire thing. This was just one element of it. Printing this thing. So we initially were going to go to the library to print, because that's where we've printed in the past and it's worked really well for us. It's not as expensive as some locations. We went to the library. We broke the library. Mm-hmm. The library was like, no, we can't do that. What was really funny was, I remember when we got in there, I was like, it's quite a lot. And the person who was there said to us, is it a book? I was like, no, it's
not
I didn't say like it's bigger than a book, but okay. But she was like, it's fine. We just can't print entire books. And I was like, okay, that's fine. she didn't realize what she was agreeing to at this point. And I think she got halfway through the first file we gave her and went, we can't do this. Like, we haven't got the paper, we haven't got the ink, we haven't got the resources. It's not going to happen. So we went back to the drawing board, and Serena...
Well, actually, there's another little layer underneath that. We got the first set of printing done, which they were very reluctant at that point, but it was already in process. And we get it back, and we're flipping through, and I'm like, isn't this supposed to be in color?
And she specifically asked me, did it need to be in color? And I'd said yes. So she printed out probably best part of 1,000 pages in black and white that was unusable. So a lot of like, oh God, I thought at least we'd have something to show by the end of the day. The one thing I will say though, that I that was my little moment of, and this just really said, like, there are little moments in this that were like, oh, that was kind of fun. There's they have this thing where you can email the library your stuff, and then you put money into a machine, like cash into a machine, and it prints out your things. So I exchanged, I think it was like, I had like $3 worth of printing or something. So I changed up, so I had some dollar bills. I put the first dollar into the machine, and it gave me probably over $10 in change and did all my printing for me. I'm like, I mean, if we could do it this way, I could profit from printing. Totally down for that.
It was like the casinos back in the day where the coins would fall. It's like, is it really bad if I just shell jackpot in the middle of the library?
Yeah, they're probably not going to be a fan of that. So we had our little moment. But then Serena found a local business that was willing to help us with printing and to charge us back for what we were going to do. Oh no, there was another step before that, wasn't there?
Well, I did find a local business.
Well, didn't we go to the business centre first?
Well, yeah.
So the business centre was the next thing. The business centre gave us a quote, and we're like, okay, that's better than Office Max. Well, that's doable. We can make that work. So we went ahead. That was the plan. And then the following week, so this was on a Friday. On the Monday, I can't remember. There was something else that had gone wrong that day. There were like probably multiple things that had gone wrong that day, and I was hanging by a thread that day. I'm not gonna lie. I was struggling to hold it together with being low on capacity, with the hits that we just kept getting body slammed this whole process. It wasn't until the end of the day, and I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but it was something like, we had a fire, but I put it out. And I was like, because she was texting at the time, so she was texting another friend of hers. And I was like, we who? She was like, you and me. And I'm like, excuse me? And it turned out that the quote they'd given us was, I think it was a quarter of what it should have been.
A quarter of what it should have been.
And they realised this and said, no, this is what it will be, which would have put the budget way out of whack. So Serena, thank God, knew where I was at that point in time and came with a solution rather than just told me that there was yet another thing that we were having issues with.
Like the entire day I'm texting, like I'm trying to outsource and text and do research without her noticing as we're deep in our work for the visa. And I'm just like, all right, don't ask me what I'm doing. Don't ask me what I'm doing. Don't ask me what I'm doing.
And actually a friend of ours said to me at some point during the night, I don't even know why I ended up seeing her. And she was like, oh yeah, Serena told me about the printing thing. And I assumed she meant like the library thing or something. I didn't know what she was talking about. So I assumed it was that. Turns out it wasn't. It was the fact that this was now no longer an option for us. So Serena found another local business who agreed to print it for us and charge us back. And on the Wednesday, which was the day we were hoping it was going to get sent, Serena went off to print it.
No, I didn't.
Well,
she
went off with the intention of printing it. That was not the outcome. So as this has been an absolute nightmare process, and there is nothing more that I can do around the printing until it's printed, and there's nothing more I can do until it's printed, Serena sends me off to a massage therapist who was actually leaving a few weeks later. And so we only had a certain amount of sessions we could get in with her. She's like, go, just do what you need to do. Like, I'll take care of the printing. The That's not what happened though, is it? When you went to the office to do the printing?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I should have known what was going to happen based on what had happened the time before and the time before that and the time before that. But no, I was all hopeful, and I'm like, all right, I got the computer, got the USB drive, got this industrial printer that had support people around me. Nope, not going to work. The USB is not going to work. Your computer's not going to connect to the printer. Okay. Fine. Put the USB in. Nope, the USB is not going to connect to the printer. Fine. All right. I know what does connect to that printer. One of those computers. So, it was a business I was very close with. They let me on their computer and I print and I make sure, everything's set. All right. It's not printing in color. It needs to be color. This is part of the whole problem that we had at the library where we have 1,000 pages we can't use now.
Yeah.
So I check color in all the places. Print. Black and white. All right, get the people set up around the office. Color, yep, print. No. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me right now. So I'm standing there. They're like, oh, is it working? Oh, you're getting it's working, it's printing. And I'm like, no, not really. And they're like, and everybody's trying to figure it out because it should be a simple little, this says color, that says color.
Go.
I see color everywhere.
So, no. So I come out of my massage to a text from Serena saying, go home, I'll call you in a few. And meantime, I've been lying on the massage table going, we've got to do this, we've got to do this. And I'd had a realization. So I text her saying, I need to talk to you. Do you want me to come to you or do you want me to go home and for us to speak? And she said, you can either come to me or you can go home and we can speak in 20 minutes. So I'm like, I'm around the corner, I'll come to you. So I walk in, I'm like, oh, where are the printouts? No. No.
That's why I told you to go home.
I'm like, oh, so I'm all relaxed on my massage for all of a microsecond. And then I'm like, okay, right. So we decided at this point that even though for budgetary reasons, we were trying to find a different way of doing it, we say to hell with it at this point, it meets our needs more to spend a little bit more, but not have this stress, she says. Wait for it, we're not done yet. And just get it done at Office Max. So Serena says, I'll go onto the website, I'll upload everything, and I will do it via Office Max. So I go to bed that night, wake up the following morning to a message from Serena saying, I think it was about 2 a.m. that you'd finally got it done.
Well, because Office Max didn't
work. Exactly.
Our files were too big and they wanted me to come in. And I'm like, the whole point is to make this easy so that when we go to pick it up, it's all there. Mm-hmm. So I switched over to another platform and I'm like, all right, I'm not fighting with the Office Max website. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to go where things tend to work for me. I'm going to go with UPS because down here, the team at my UPS store is
amazing.
They're amazing. Yeah. They're near and dear to my heart. They put up with my Amazon purchases
and the copious number of returns that happen.
It's hard. It can be hard living on an island getting the thing.
Oh yeah, I know.
I try not to, but I've cultivated a relationship with them to be like, all right, guys, this is a lot of boxes. Do you need some coffee with my boxes? The little things that might help their job make their job a little easier. And I digress. So I go through and everything uploads fine. It gives me a review. I'm able to look and it's like, all right, got that.
But maybe if there were a few files that couldn't be done by UPS, which Serena said to me, we need to get these done at Office Max. We'll take them in and get them done on the Thursday.
And it was, maybe 50 pages out of
5,000. No. It was 2,000 pages. It was the workbook and the slides. So yeah, it was a fair chunk, but out of over 5,000 pages, we were still onto a winner at this point.
Yes. Or so we thought.
So we thought. So we then went and Thursday we got the additional printing done at Office Max.
Well, no, Thursday morning, I went to preemptively. I knew they said my order wouldn't be ready till around 2, but I'm like, all right, let me just go check. And so I went in on my way into coming.
It's the story even I don't remember because it was so convoluted and ridiculous.
Such a long process. I drive right by the UPS store, so I'm like, I'm going to stop in, just see if there's anything I can do to help. Do you want me to help load paper into the machine? I realize like a 3,000 page printing job, which is what I had sent them. It's going to take a minute, and they're doing their regular jobs as well. So if I can help out, that serves me to help them out. So I go in there and they're like, oh yeah, it will be done by 2. And I'm like, is there any way we can get it done a little quicker if I help out? Or, if not, totally cool, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, we've run out of paper and we're about to run out of ink. And I'm like, oh. Okay. I'm like, but you're still going to get it done today, right? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Just, it's going to take a bit. And I'm like, cool. Here's my phone number. Give me a call.
Mm-hmm. And I had a bunch of stuff to do first thing in the morning. So we went up kind of around lunchtime-ish, I think it was. We went and did the printing at the additional printing at Office Max. And that was another one where we went in, we tried to print it, and it was printing like a page every maybe 8 or 10 seconds, which it should have been like, and they couldn't figure out why. There was a whole bunch of stuff. So and they said, look, just come back in later and pick it up. We're like, it's going to take a while. So we're like, okay. So what we'll do is we'll get that done. I can't even remember what else we did. We ended up, I think we tag teamed, didn't we?
We did.
You went.
Well, because I was going to try and see, because it was printing out so slowly. We're like, we don't really have time for this. I'm like, let me go back over to UPS. Maybe they can, now that they're done, they called. They're like, your order's ready. I'm like, cool. Maybe they'll put in this order. So I went over and I said hi to the manager working there. And I was like, so now we have this. I was like, you able to do a little bit more? And she looked at me. She's like, a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, like not this much, like 2,000 pages. And she listened, she goes, no, we need to do maintenance on the machine. And I was like, oh,
sorry.
So we've outprinted the UPS store now too?
Yeah.
Okay. She's like, you can come back on Monday when I'm back in and it will be all set. I'm like,
okay, thank you. But unfortunately it has to go before then. So I set things going, and we said, okay, what we'll do is we'll go home, we'll start doing the process, because as Serena said, there was still a lot to do once we had the printouts. So we're like, let's start doing that with the UPS stuff. We can go back and pick up the Office Max stuff later. And I actually feel, did somebody else pick up the Office Max stuff for us and drop it off? I don't even remember. Anyway.
One of the times?
Yeah, we're kind of sorting through stuff. Either we went and picked it up or somebody else went and picked it up and brought it back. And that evening, so bear in mind that this is now Thursday. It was meant to go Wednesday, and it was like, it has to go Friday. It cannot go any later than Friday. Absolutely not. So Thursday night, it's about 7 p.m. as we're kind of sorting through all this stuff. And I'm kind of sorting things through, and I'm like, where's this section?
And it's the section. It was like the section.
The section.
The section.
And Serena, what do you mean? I'm like,
it's right there.
She's like, she's here. It's in the boxes, right? And I'm like, I can't see it. So I look, and Serena looks, and we start going through everything, and we realize there is a massive chunk of the printing that is missing.
In the center. Like, literally in the center. You can middle. See the page that it ends on, and then the section that it starts on. I'm like, that, right there. And it's
hundreds of pages. Like, it's not like it's a few pages here or there.
We're talking at least one ream of paper, if not 2 or 3.
At which point, like, we're trying to, like, bless her heart. Serena had worked so hard at this point. She'd already been up till 2.
Not the Southern, bless your heart.
No. I was like, Serena looked at me as if to say, I can't even, I'm like, okay, I've got this. I'll figure out what's missing. I'll put it on a USB. I'm going to run to Office Max right now, and I can use one of their self-serve machines just to try and get this done. Thank God when I got there, their print center was still open. So I get there at 7:30. They close at 8. And I'm like, please, can you print this before you close? In the meantime, Serena's realizing back home that there's other stuff missing. So she's emailing me stuff to do. I think I left Office Max about 8:10. Like, they stayed to get it done for me. And then the following morning, got a head start on things. I didn't get much sleep, but I was like, I'm up, I might as well get things done. Did a whole bunch of work, went in, got some stuff printed, came back, did a whole bunch of work, and then discovered that the thing that we'd done was wrong. This is before Serena even got to me on the Friday. So I went in a second time, and then we ended up having to go in a third time. So 3 times we went to get stuff printed on the Friday. It was actually being sent. Now, that's just the printing. That is just the story. I mean, it's a ridiculously long story. It is just the printing. So this was, and we were like early morning to relatively late night. Like we were so busy and we had this deadline. There was so much to do. And because everything kept going wrong, it was taking so much longer. And this was this kind of palpable feeling of we don't have time right now. We don't have time to meet our needs. Now, we know everything we do every second of every day is meeting our needs. So we know we're technically meeting our needs in every moment. But the thing about it is that we were meeting needs, the needs that were kind of really urgent at that point in time were not the roots of the tree. Now, there is this, I can't remember who came up with it, but there's this idea of there's an intersection of, if you on the video, you'll be able to see what I'm doing with my arms, of urgent and important. And what you can do is you can sort priorities, tasks into one of those 4 quadrants. So one of them is it's not urgent, it's not important. That shit just doesn't get done. You've got things that are important but not urgent. They often don't get done either, because the things that are urgent are going to call for your attention. Things that are urgent and important will get done because they're urgent and important. They're obviously at the top. Things that are urgent but not important often end up trumping the stuff that is important but not urgent, because the urgency kind of calls for its attention. And the thing about it is that in these situations, there was a bunch of needs in the middle of the tree that were urgent. They were also kind of important. But in terms of importance, at that point, the importance was our roots of our tree. Like, what were the things at the very bottom that were going to actually give us what we needed to function, to get done what we needed to have done? I feel like you want to jump in. No?
If you were in the middle of a thought.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I'm a bit of a mind, like we mind read when we do this, so I don't think she was expecting me to throw over to her because she thought I was mid-flow.
Yeah, I didn't. Gosh, that threw me off. We were the one thing I want to say, because as you're speaking, like, people are probably out there being like, oh, you were compromising your roots, and it's like, no, those were the actual things we were focusing on. The amount of times we made each other stop, like,
that's what I was coming to next.
Okay,
yeah.
That's why I wasn't sure if you were getting there, and I was just
a couple of steps ahead.
She was
in my head.
Yeah.
Like,
but those were we knew the things we need. We knew we needed sleep. We knew we needed rest, even if it didn't mean that we were sleeping, that we just needed to stop our brains from intensely working. Mm-hmm. We needed to eat. We needed to drink. Like, those foundation function needs, those were the most important to ensure that we were resourced. Because if those are depleted, everything else is going to fall from.
And that's the thing, is that we were like, the stuff that was like kind of taking priority was in the middle of the tree. We had to consciously and intentionally put energy into the roots of the tree, even at times when it was like, but I got to get this done. And it's like, yeah, but we need this in order to get that done. So as Serena said, like, taking breaks, sleeping, eating, drinking, making sure that we were underpinning the things that, and we knew that, yes, we were not meeting these needs as well as we would normally do. We also knew that if we didn't get this thing in, that the compromise to our needs would be catastrophic. So it was a question of, okay, go back to the needs formula. Doing this, yeah, that might have met my needs in the moment, but big compromise of needs. So instead, we decided to go, okay, by taking care of we need to take care of this stuff. So how can we then create a little bit more balance in the needs formula? Because by doing all of this stuff, yeah, most people would do it, and how we would have done it 5-10 years ago would have been we'd have been like, up at 6 a.m, working till 3, like working around the clock. I mean, I remember when I did my dissertation at university, I collapsed in the print room because I'd literally been working around the clock for I think 3 days at that point just to try to get it finished. Like that's my pattern, that's my history, and I know you've been in a similar position, right?
It's you go till you get it done and then you rest.
Exactly.
You get it done and then you rest, and it's like, well, if I had just rested.
Just for a little bit here, and or whatever it is, more rest than I would have done before, I could have been so much more productive because I was supported, I was resourced. Yeah, I don't have time for a 2-hour nap. Maybe I've got time for a 20-minute nap. If
I can't go to sleep, but I know I need to rest. Okay, like let me
lie.
Yeah, lie with my eyes closed, read a book. There were times during this that we were like, all right, we're going to leave. We're going to leave and we're going to go to the coffee house and we're going to have a coffee and we are going to do this thing that has nothing to do with the visa. And both of us would say it and we're like, yes. Are you sure? And it's like, no, we need to break and breathe and clear and give our minds just a little bit of a break. Like, because driving on the same topic or the same things constantly, like that in itself wears you down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, oh my God, I'm kind of cross-eyed at this point. I've got no idea what's going on. And it's like, okay, I can't nap for 2 hours. Maybe I can nap for 20 minutes. I can't nap for 20 minutes. I can lay down, relax and close my eyes for 2 minutes. Like finding the small little things that you can do along the way. So it's like there were days, I remember there was a day where I'm not really a coffee drinker.
In comparison.
But very few people are coffee drinkers in comparison. But I'm not really a big coffee drinker. And if I do drink coffee, generally speaking, I drink decaf. And there were a couple of moments during this process where I'm like, no, I'm going to have a coffee, like an actual coffee. And I caught myself at one point going, I remember we had a conversation, I think we were in the kitchen and I was like, I went to go and have a coffee and I'm like, do I actually need a coffee? No, I'm going to have a decaf coffee. Or I don't know whether it was a decaf or smoothie. It was one of the two. I switched it.
You went to decaf. Yes. You had it in your mind. You're like, now I want the taste of coffee. But the caffeine doesn't serve me.
That's not going to serve me. Because it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I have caffeine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not going to sleep until 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just because my body's not used to it. So it's like looking for like the little things. What are the small things that you can do? The small things that take 2 minutes, that take 30 seconds, like taking a moment to stop and stretch and like move your body a little bit. We spent a lot of time sat working on a laptop. Like how do we stretch? How do we move? Like, and also in those moments, it was great for us because we both know about this. Like we were checking in with each other. Like, do you need a break right now? Do you like what can I, do you need something to drink right now?
You haven't sipped your water in a while. Like,
Jesus,
maybe. And it was nice to have the person there just to give, like, in our Nourish Your Needs group, we do needs nudges every Wednesday. And it was like that. We were constantly giving, like, the little nudges. There wasn't any expectation. There wasn't any attachment to it. But it was like, do you need to just, like, sit and breathe for a minute? Like, would this feel good? Or one of us would do something. Claire would sit there and I'd hear, like, and I'm like, oh, that sounded nice.
I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah.
And just, or, you know, I'm just going to close my eyes for like 30 seconds and think of nothing because I can't take a nap right now. There's not really time for a real rest, but just, okay. Like I'm still in control. I can still close my eyes. I can still take a moment and ground myself and feel what's beneath me supporting me. Like I'm not floating in the air. It's not going to fall out from underneath me. I'm going to be okay. And attaching to that security and that foundation, like.
And like one of the things that tends to happen with me when I'm in those moments is that I stop doing some of the things that take more time, even if they are things that really serve me. So for example, like often I will stop doing yoga in those times because I'm like, that's 20 minutes I could be doing da 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 da. And there were several times where I'm like, no, I need to stretch my body. My back is sore, my legs are sore, and the sitting is the thing that is making this worse right now. So I would get up and I would do my yoga before Serena arrived, and it meant that I was in a better state to do the things that we needed to do that day. So we're not saying we need to be like, forget this busy thing that I'm meant to be doing. I'm just going to take care of my needs. I mean, as nice as it would be, and I'll tell you something, it would have been nice at times to be like, there were times, it's funny actually, because one of the things, and here's another example of something that switched during that session, during that time.
I know where you're going.
You do?
I believe so.
Oh, well, I thought, it wouldn't surprise me. Was there were so many times where Serena, because we were both working on this, like Serena was amazing. I literally wouldn't have got through this without her. She worked on it as if it were her own application. And there were times where she'd be like, do you want it done this way or do you want it done this way? And I uttered the words, I don't care, more times in that few week period than I probably have done in the last 10 years. Because normally I do care. Mm-hmm. Normally I have a preference for how something's going to get done, for the way that something's going to get done, because that meets my needs. But in fact, at that point, I didn't care how it got done. I just cared that it got done. So, I mean, and even down to like, what do you want for dinner? I don't care. Just like, I'd be busy working on something. Serena would like just throw something together in the kitchen. I think it was like, there was one day like at lunch, she was like, what do you want to eat? I don't care. So she just got up and made food for the two of us. Mm-hmm. And the I don't care was, I can let go of the need to make choices around this stuff that doesn't matter right now. And I can put my energy into the things that do matter. Like, as long as it's done, I don't care in what form it gets done. And it's funny because I don't know that you probably ever heard me say that before this period of time. Have you?
No. And it's something that now we joke about. Someone should say, oh, I don't care. Oh, you're in that mood again. Like it, because there is a preference and you know that meeting your needs, like.
Yeah. This way over that way.
Yeah. It really was a different shift for that. But that's what met her needs at the time. And that goes to show that, like, I don't care usually won't meet Claire's needs, but right then that met her needs, and it actually met mine in the moment too. She was helping to meet my needs because I was like, okay, she doesn't care. Like, let me just see what's here. Like, I didn't have to, like, her saying I don't care means that I can then just go about and get it done.
Yeah, I don't care meant for me, it meant I don't have to put any mental labor into figuring out what my preference is and communicating that and making sure it's done in that way. It saved me a bunch of mental energy that at that point was more important to be placed elsewhere. And it meant that Serena didn't have to do anything in a certain way. She was like, okay, we need food. There's this, done. We'll chuck it together. It'll work. Or I need to do this I mean, there were some things in terms of like, the layouts of things. She was like, do you want it done this way? I don't care. Like, just because anything that wasn't going to be the difference between this getting approved or not approved didn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to put the energy into the things to make sure that things that might make that difference went in and were done in the way that would support that from happening. The layout, really, at that point, it was already looking so amazing. I don't give a shit at this point. Like, I really couldn't give two tosses as to whether it's done this way or that way. I trust you.
I like that.
What?
I didn't give two tosses.
Well, the funny thing is that the phrase in England is normally I don't give a toss. But I don't give two tosses. I couldn't give any toss. I had zero tosses to give. And in fact,
proper.
I'm going to use another phrase that somebody actually in the group told me was like their new favorite phrase. I had more important things to be doing than faffing around with formatting or faffing around was apparently this new phrase. It's her favorite phrase. So there you go. This one's for you. You know who you are.
I love to faff around.
Oh yeah, we like to faff around. But at that time, no space for faffing. Mm-mm. Like, there was no faffing space. So it's like anything that requires any kind of faff, no.
Boundary.
No. So the thing about it is that it's like looking for, in the midst of that busy, in the midst of all of these things that you're trying to do, it's about focusing on what are the priorities in the things that you do need to do, so that you make sure that your energy is going to the things that matter most. So we're talking about the things that are urgent and important, and the things that are important but not necessarily urgent, because those are the two quadrants that actually matter most out of those four. The other thing that you want to be doing is figuring out how can you diminish the negative impact to your needs of the things that are going on. So again, like that whole like, I don't care. Like there could have been a negative impact to me if I tried to figure something else out at that point. I'm like, no, sorry. The shop is closed. Come back another day.
Flip the sign around.
Yes, not today. So it was like I was looking at what are the things that would potentially negatively impact me and minimizing those as much as I could. And then what I was doing was like I was taking every opportunity. We were taking every opportunity. This was both of us. Every opportunity to do something that was going to support ourselves, even in these little moments, these little nuggets. And the thing about it is, in the context of burning the candle at both ends, doing anything to meet your needs adds a little bit of wax back to the candle. The reason that burning the candle at both ends is such a scary concept, especially when you're doing both ends and the middle, is you're going to run out of wax. And that is the wax is your resource. The wax is the resourcefulness that you have. And by doing things to meet your needs, it puts wax back on the candle. And the thing about it is, you might not be doing, like, if you were on an average day, you could do something that's like, oh, we could add half a candle with this thing. If you can add a millimeter of wax back, that's better than no wax at all. So you take it, you take the small things and you do whatever you can to underpin yourself in order to get through that busy period. And the second that you are able to, you take the time and you focus on what you need for your physical, mental, emotional well-being and energetic well-being. Because that's what we did. The second this was done, well, actually, I'm gonna adjust that. It wasn't the second it was done, because the second it was done, we were like, we're going out for a drink.
We are celebrating.
We are celebrating that this is done. And the truth was that both of us were like, one and done. Like, we're going to go out, we'll have a quick drink, and then we'll head back. That's not quite how that worked, was it?
Fucking Bobby's.
Well, it wasn't even Bobby. It started at 2-2.
Well, it started at 2-2, but it was like 3 a.m. when we were like, oh, I'm tired. But then right when we were tired,
yes,
we were like, done.
Like, on any other night, we'd have been like, oh, it's only an hour and then we can close it down and get our picture with the clock and blah, blah, blah. But even that night, I remember we went out for a couple of drinks. We had a friend come to meet us. We ended up caked in glitter. It was brilliant.
Cheap little trinket. Still a glitter that
has still not shifted from that night. And I remember I got to the point, I was like, I need food. And I was very adamant. I need food at this point. Can we go here for food? Now, as it turned out, the here that we went for food was a place that also has karaoke. Not Bobby's. It was somewhere else. And we ended up spending hours there, and we had a great night. But I was very clear. And I wasn't like, oh, does anyone fancy anything to eat? I was like, I need to eat now. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. We went somewhere, and it worked out for everybody. But the second we hit that, oh, I'm tired, done. Mm-hmm. Home, don't even think about it. And the second we hit that bed, I did not get out for very, very, very many hours.
Well, and the thing is, too, we checked in throughout the night. We were having a good time. And at first, I knew Claire was raring to go for a little bit. But I got out of the car. I'm like, I can guarantee you one.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was making it past one.
Neither did I.
And after one, Claire is like, should we do another? And we were waiting for our friend. And I'm like, actually, yeah. Checked in with myself. Because at that point, I could have been like, you know what? Actually, I'm spent. This one did me in. I'm glad we got out. We'll do a proper celebration later. But in every moment, we kept checking in with ourselves, checking in with each other, and making sure, like, okay, are we caught up in the swirl of celebration of it being done, or do we really want to be here right now? Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to add into, kind of a sidestep, but one in relation, is during this was Claire's visa application process. Yeah. And I was supporting her during it. And a lot of times we end up compromising our needs for somebody else's. And this was an intense experience for both of us. There were a couple of times where
Understatement.
Yes.
Massive understatement.
Gross understatement. There were a couple of times where I had to do things and honor myself and where I was at that weren't in alignment with what Claire needed from me or how I wanted to show up in support. And it was like, all right, I need to be an hour late today because I need to take care of this stuff so that I can then be present to do what I need to do. And that hour was not convenient for the process, for Claire at that time.
I would say it wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
Because I remember that and I'm like, do what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Because I know, because of how she communicated as well, it was like, I need to do this so I can then be fully present with you and give everything to this. I'm like, if you need an hour now so I get 8 hours with you, hell yes. That's a very good trade as far as I'm concerned.
Because, it was something really simple and it could have been done at any time, but it would have been in my head. And every, maybe hour or even sometimes couple of minutes, I'd be like, oh, and I still got to do that. I still got to do that. And every second that I was thinking about what I had to do. That would end up getting more time than it took me to actually just get that done and then have it gone. Yeah. And sometimes it was, I know we're on a roll right now. I'm going to get to this point and then I need to tap out for tonight because I'm getting foggy. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants anybody foggy working on something like that. So it was...
Especially not something that important.
Yeah. So checking in with myself and being like, okay, I know this might not be ideal right now, but I had to honor where I was at so I could honor the entire process and that we could do it effectively and efficiently.
Yeah. And I was so grateful for that because I'm somebody who I know a lot of people, and I used to be one of them, where I would have sacrificed myself to support somebody who I cared about.
Me too. I would have. You get all of me, and then the 10% that I would never even give myself.
Right. But then you end up getting none of me for a period of time because I'm so done. I'm so exhausted, and I wouldn't have wanted that in any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't have wanted it to have come at Serena's detriment, but also because of how we do things, I was able to trust that when Serena was here, it was because she wanted to be here and because she had the capacity to be here. Mm-hmm. And there were times, this was a trial for us. There were some times where both of us were tired, both of us were frustrated with all the things that were going on, and neither of us were operating at our optimum level by a long way. And there were moments where it got a little bit kind of scrunchy in the middle there. And we used our tools. We used the things that we teach. And when this is, I remember there was one day where Serena was like, I'm trying to support you, but I feel like how I'm supporting you is causing more trouble and blah, 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 blah. We spent a good couple of hours in tears on the couch together, but we needed that because we were both so challenged by what was going on right now. That met our needs to do that. That was not a convenient or ideal thing for us to be doing in the ground. We needed to be working on the damn thing. But in actual fact, we took the time and we cleared it. I was able to share how unbelievably grateful I was for Serena and how she was supporting me in the best way possible, and to apologize for the moments where I was getting stressed and I wasn't communicating with her in the way I wanted to, because that's not how we operate. And she was able to communicate. We had this amazing clearing and connection right in the middle of it. And if we hadn't done that, that tension would have infused through everything we were doing. We would have made mistakes. It
would have compounded, and at the end we would have been done.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Not that intensely, but
don't speak to me for a minute.
Yeah, just kind of I'm out. I'm out. Just in our relationship, it would have been a brief minute, but you never want to get to that point with the people you love where you've so intensely compromised yourself that you need to be
I'm done
for you're not gonna see me, you're not gonna hear from me for a little bit.
And the thing
that would happen to me a lot in the past, where I'd be I'd give somebody because I wanted to, and I'd give, and then I'd be I just need I just need me right now.
Yes,
and it would
I need you not to be present.
A week or two or more before I'd come back and be okay, because it takes that long. We had talked about in an earlier episode, processing through it. You need to process through all of that stuff. And if you're letting it compound on top of each other, by the time you get to the processing, you have a mountain of shit to go through. Right. When if you're just kind of hitting the hills as you go, and it's like, all right, there's a hill. Yeah. Let's level it back out. Okay, I'm on level ground again. There's a little hill. Okay. Like, difficult things are going to bring up difficult emotions. They're going to bring up stress, or you're going to react in ways that you normally don't. We have an episode kind of coming up on that one. You need to, like, you need to take care of yourself in any little way that you can,
and take care of the relationship in that. Like, that's the thing. We're because of how we are with each other. I don't believe we would ever get to the point where we would be like, legitimately fuck you. No. But like, I can't imagine us ever having that energy towards each other. And it got tense at one point. And at the end of it, I was like, take time, relax, enjoy. I didn't for a second feel like Serena needed a break from me. I felt like we both needed to recharge. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. But like, we both needed to take time for ourselves to recharge ourselves. I don't feel there was not an iota of oh God, I need a break from Serena, because that was really tough. Like, it was tough for us both, and it got tough for our relationship at moments because of how unresourced we were. And what we did was we did what we do, which was we figured out, okay, how do we take care of ourselves and how do we take care of the relationship? This is what the relationship needs from us right now. This is what we need. I need for myself right now. This is what you need for yourself right now. How do we use that? And it was the fact that we came out on the other side of this as we did.
It's a testament to what we do.
It's nothing short of a miracle. That too. I mean, and the fact that we were able to go out and celebrate that last night the way that we did, I thought we would both be on our knees after everything that we'd been through. I was riding a bit of a high of like, oh my God, it's finally done. Although I did spend several hours going, oh my God, is it really done? Like,
every so often during the night, she'd be like, it's done.
It's done.
Like we can't do anything. And I'm like, I know.
That's it. It was an intense experience, but I think that the most important thing, like for you listening at home, is to remember that we talked about the needs formula last time, that when we're in a situation where we don't have a choice, we always have some level of choice, but when this, like, the choice to do things in another way would compromise our needs even further. If our needs are being compromised, recognize that every time you do something to meet your needs, you tip that scale a little bit in the other direction. And as we talked about with the needs formula thing, in that situation, if you can come out even, that's a win. If you can go from, this is going to be massively compromised on my needs, to, okay, my needs aren't met, they're also not compromised, cool. Like, that is a good place to be. And it's looking for those small moments. It's looking for those things that don't take much time and effort, but are going to build something. They're going to put a little bit more wax back on that candle. Anything you want to add?
I think I'm good.
Awesome. So please come back and join us next week, where we will have episode 3 in our Burning the Candle at Both Ends series. I'm really glad that we talked about this today, because so often people think they're too busy to meet their needs and they don't know what to do in that situation. And I hope that we've given you a starting point for what you can do to begin to have those situations where they're not going to completely take you out. They might require a little bit of needs nourishment on the other side, but it means that you're going to be somewhat resourced as you're going through it. And that's really the aim in those situations. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We are going to be sending you lots of love. Take care of yourselves. And remember, between now and next time, to continue to meet your own needs. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye, friends.
That's it for today.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and give us a written review,
as it will help more people find us. And remember, if you feel too busy to do anything to meet your needs, even small things will tip the scale of your needs formula in the direction you want it to go.
Well, shit. It really is that simple.